Hi, my name's Melissa Kirk, and I have been running my own business for about 9 months now, full time. And so I thought about doing a series of videos for people who are interested in working for themselves because it was really scary for me at first. And at the time that I was starting out, I just really would have liked to have this kind of resource. So I'm just recording these small, short videos to kind of just explain my journey and just share my story. So this one, I'm going to talk about why I decided to do this. So I have been working in an industry in publishing, book publishing, for about 16 years for nonfiction book publishers. I was an assistant editor, and then I was an acquisitions editor and a developmental editor at nonfiction book companies in the Bay Area. And I was working for one company for about 13 years, and I unfortunately had some bad stuff happen in my life which affected my performance. I got extremely depressed. I had PTSD, I had anxiety, I was having panic attacks in the office, so my work necessarily suffered. And unfortunately, my company decided that they no longer needed my services. And, in my career, I had never had that happen before. I'd always prided myself on doing good work, and I thought I was still doing okay work. When they told me that my performance was suffering, I tried really a lot harder to get myself back on track, even though I was still depressed and in treatment and having panic attacks and all this stuff. And I did actually improve my performance quite a lot. But after about a year, they ended up terminating my employment. So I really kind of had a bad time for a while. Didn't know what I was going to do. I'm a middle-aged woman, like with a career in publishing, so it's not exactly the most, dynamic, new type of industry. So I looked for work, but I couldn't find any work, and I just was really feeling kind of hurt and betrayed by what happened. So I ended up deciding that I was never again going to work for another person where that person could derail my life just with one decision, with one business decision. So I just decided, you know what, I'm going to try to do this for myself. And I was lucky enough that I had a really long career. I'd done pretty well. I had some best-selling books I'd worked on. I'd always done really well at my company. I'd gotten the raises and the bonuses and everything. So even though I didn't have any references from that company because of how they handled it, I still had a lot of things to show for myself. I had about 80 books that I had been working on, 60 or 80 or something. So and then what happened was I had two people I had worked with at my company who had actually rejected, who came and found me on the internet and said, I'd like to work with you because your feedback was so helpful. So I ended up working with them. They were my first clients, and that's what sort of made me decide that I could do this full time. So after thinking about it for a while, I ended up hiring a coach, an entrepreneur coach, and we worked together for about 6 months on branding and just sort of getting me over the fear of doing this. And meanwhile, I had a kind of a stopgap job in an office that I'd gotten through a friend just to make money, and that really wasn't going well either. So eventually, I just decided I have to just stop working here, and so I ended up just making the leap, just quit the job and said, okay, I'm going to do this. And that's really the reason why I'm here now. It's scary at first for sure, but I guess eventually I just realized that my goals in life were to be my own boss and not have people be able to control my life the way my old company was able to. And I wanted my schedule to be my own. I wanted to wake up when I felt like it. I wanted to be able to work wherever I wanted, which has ended up happening. It's really kind of cool. So I just felt like I just kind of got thrown out of the nest, and I just had to make that decision. But I'm much happier now. I could have gone and tried to find another kind of similar job and just did the same kind of work and had the same risks of being tossed out when I was no longer worthwhile to them, but I made a different decision. So I'm much happier. I'm extremely supportive of people doing this kind of work. I really want to help people get out of the corporate kind of rat race thing, because I don't think it's necessary. I think we're sort of trained that there's no other way to exist, but I'm proof that we actually can exist outside of that cycle. So in the next videos, I'm just going to talk about my process, the stumbling blocks and the joys, and maybe give some advice. And I'm not necessarily saying I've done it all correctly. I know I'm still not quite, I'm sure I've made some mistakes and I'm not doing everything right, but I'm trying, So in the next videos, I will talk more about the details of how I'm making this work. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.